We're here to take a look at all the amazing things coming to Xbox this September, and there's actually loads to talk about, but really, there's only one place to start. Unless you've been living underneath a rock at the far edges of the galaxy, you're going to know that Starfield is arriving on September 6th as a day one addition to Game Pass. It's a galaxy-spanning action RPG, it's one of the biggest games of 2023, it's a brand new IP from Bethesda, it's an epic space opera, it's a vast world filled with fascinating characters to meet and quests to undertake, it's a first-person shooter with a huge range of futuristic weapons for you to wield, and it's a game where you can devote yourself completely to just stealing sandwiches. And much like Barbie, Starfield is everything, and we can't wait to get out there and start exploring the possibilities of this incredible looking game. Naturally, we're going to have loads more to say about Starfield once it's released, and of course, loads of tips to help you survive out there in outer space, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell. Right, what else, Bex?
If you're a He-Man fan or gaga for She-Ra, you'll be all over Mythforce when it comes out on the 12th. This colourful roguelike takes inspirations from classic Saturday morning cartoons, transporting the player to a world of dungeons, dragons, and other fantastical stuff. The first-person combat promises to be intense as you slash and back your way towards the evil vampire lord, and you can tag in up to 3 other brave adventurers in online co-op. Mythforce also promises to keep you guessing with an evil castle that changes each time you try to storm it.
Very few series have provided us with as many hours of explosive multiplayer fun as Bomberman has, and we've got a brand new entry arriving on the 13th. Super Bomberman R2 contains all the game's classic modes, allowing players to run around dropping bombs to their heart's content. It's got full cross-platform enabled to ensure you've always got someone to explode as well. Nice. That's going to come in very handy when you're looking for 63 other Bombermen, women and children to play a chaotic round of Battle 64 with. Oh, and there's also this exciting asymmetrical new addition called Castle, where the players are actually divided into 2 teams for a spirited bit of siege warfare. I mean, how else are you going to make friends online?
If you haven't made it on a summer getaway yet, then have no fear, the crew Motorfest is here to whisk you away to the sunny Hawaiian island of Oahu. Forza Horizon fans will definitely want to make this trip because the third entry in this slick racing series revolves around a local festival with a huge range of high-speed events for players to take part in. But if you do slow down enough to do some sightseeing, you'll be able to admire the Hawaiian scenery in glorious 4K Ultra HD on the Xbox Series X. So whatever pace you feel like taking things at, the crew Motorfest promises one smooth ride when it comes rolling in on the 14th.
Having conquered the tabletop world and the PC realm already, Gloomhaven is on maneuvers again with a console version set for the 18th. If you haven't heard of it, well, Gloomhaven is a tactical RPG in which the player gets to round up a guild of fearless mercenaries to go raid some dungeons and slay some monsters. You're going to need your wits about you to do the second part, by the way, because its turn-based battles will require you to, quite literally, play your cards right. So whether you're a die-hard fan of the tabletop version or just an RPG gamer looking for their next great fantasy adventure, Gloomhaven is one guild you're probably going to want to be part of.
We might have to check our calendars to make sure someone hasn't sneakily moved Christmas up a few months, because September has another massive new title arriving straight onto Game Pass on the 19th. It's Lies of P. If you loved Elden Ring and Dark Souls, this is a new adventure for you. This dark fantasy adventure reimagines the tale of Pinocchio as a brutal steampunk Souls-like in which our beloved puppet takes part in visceral close-quarters battle with all manner of evil machines. It is a very imaginative reimagining. If you want a taste of what to expect, you can check out our Lies of P demo now or have a look at our previous tips video. And if you've scared up any expert advice of your own, feel free to fire it down in the comments.
Having just checked it out at Gamescom, I can safely say this one is a banger. Mortal Kombat is going back to square one with a next-gen reboot that promises to drag this old-school series kicking and screaming and gushing vital bodily fluids into the Xbox Series X and S era. Although saying that, I guess that is part and parcel of Mortal Kombat games. Right. Anyway, Mortal Kombat 1 is going to boast a roster filled with classic characters for you to brutalize your buddies with, and they're going to be quickly joined by some famous faces in the game's first DLC pack. Now, I'd love to know from you guys, who's going to win, Scorpion or Omni-Man? I mean, we're about to find out, but we all know it's Omni-Man, right? And if that's got you in a fighting mood, here are a few Game Pass titles for your next bout. I mean, where better to practice your fatalities than in Mortal Kombat 11? Injustice 2 gives the Mortal Kombat formula a dose of super serum, and Game Pass Ultimate members can square off in Fight Night Champion thanks to EA Play. But if your fists just won't get the job done, well, Naraka Blade Point lets you hop online for some slicing, dicing action.
If you like your fighting games a little more slapstick, then look out for Party Animals. No, really, look out for it. These guys seem like an absolute menace. Coming to Game Pass on day one, this physics-based brawler allows you and your friends to knock lumps out of each other in all sorts of hilarious ways, while playing as a pack of poorly coordinated animals. We played this at Gamescom and absolutely loved it. You can check out that gameplay preview right here. With its vibrant visuals, ridiculous ragdoll physics, and the general sense of chaos that surrounds it, Party Animals will delight anyone who laughed themselves silly at Humans Fall Flat, and it will be tumbling into town on the 20th.
This one has got such an enchanting art style. It's called Rin, the Last Child, and it's looking like it could be a pretty magical experience when it arrives on the 21st. This side-scrolling Metroidvania takes place in a world of old gods and new ones, although the transition period seems to be a little rocky. To make it through this fraught period, you'll need to master a huge range of magical talents. The elemental spells that you're going to be wielding are incredibly customizable too, with over 7,000 possible variations for you to wield in battle. And you know what, looking at some of the bad guys that you're going to encounter, well, you might just end up needing every single one of them.
The Payday crew will be taking a bite out of the Big Apple as the third entry in this massively popular co-op shooter series heads to New York. And it also heads to Game Pass on day one, just by the way. Each heist lets you choose exactly how you want to do things. Go in loud or quiet, take hostages, or cause a diversion. Plan the whole operation out meticulously beforehand, or make it up as you go along. Whatever approach you take, you're all but guaranteed a high-octane experience with Payday 3 when it comes crashing onto Xbox Series X and S and PC on the 21st. And while you're here, let's see if you can name these other famous gaming thieves. Answers down in the comments, please. The motel in El Paso elsewhere is a bit like the Hotel California. You can check out anytime you want, but you might never be able to leave. Although in this case, that's because the motel has suddenly developed a whole bunch of subterranean floors which are filled with murderous monsters and vampire lords. Not sure if that's what the song was about. Regardless, it makes for an incredibly entertaining action game as you blast your way through a neo-noir odyssey, pulling off as many slow-motion dives as you can along the way. With rooms full of destructible objects for you to shoot and an original hip-hop soundtrack in the background, El Paso looks like the place to be come September 26th.
I had a lovely time in Porsche, but if you're looking for a new place to take those handy hands, my Time at Sandrock is going to be here on the 26th. This time round, you're going to be setting up shop in a desert community with a bit of a Wild West vibe to it. There's a huge cast of new characters to get to know as you roam this sandy open world, and if you meet someone who doesn't quite feel like talking, then that'll just give you the ideal opportunity to try out the game's slick new combat system, which blends over-the-shoulder shooting with fast-paced melee moves. So whether you're building things up or tearing them down, you should look back fondly on your time at Sandrock.
Paleo Pines is just like Jurassic Park, only super cute and without the many casualties. Here, you'll get to manage your very own ranch full of dinosaur pals. Draw new dinos to you by using your trusty flute to mimic their calls, and then seal the deal with a friendly nose boop. Really, I cannot overstate how adorable this game is. There are tons of different dinosaurs to befriend, as well as a bunch of quirky townsfolk to build relationships with. And absolutely no one is getting torn to shreds by velociraptors.
The Dragon Quest folks are back, this time with a spectacular action RPG called... One sec, need to get ready for this. Infinity Strash, Dragon Quest The Adventure of Dai, which arrives on the 28th and takes an infinity to say. Using a gorgeous anime-ish art style, the new game lets you recreate iconic series from the manga as Dai and his friends wage war on the Dark Army. Luckily for you guys, you're going to have plenty of opportunities to hone your combat skills as you battle through over 100 different room combinations in the endless dungeon, facing a new challenge each time you enter.
Xbox gamers have already had the chance to race their way through their Magic Kingdom with the early access of Disney Speedstorm, but it'll be taking things up a gear with the release of the full version on the 28th. This free-to-play arcade racer lets you pit some of Disney and Pixar's most beloved characters against each other as they zip through iconic locations from the movies, flinging weapons at one another with gleeful abandon. It's this sort of cartoon violence that would really make the Looney Tunes proud. With an excellent selection of courses, characters and cosmetics at launch, and more on the way, Disney Speedstorm has got to be eyeing up a place on that podium.
Right, one last new game, then we'll chat about some game updates and DLC. We've also got Cocoon arriving on the 29th to just melt all of our brains. Now, if you loved the perspective shifting, physics bending challenges of Superliminal and Maquette, Cocoon is going to be the perfect place to test your grey matter all over again. This truly puzzling puzzle game is all about worlds within worlds. Each level is actually contained within a glowing, very pretty orb that your character carries around on their back. Inside each orb, you're going to find all kinds of strange alien technology that you can manipulate to open doors, solve problems, and just generally make stuff happen. If you explore enough, you'll be able to unlock that orb's secret ability, turning it into an invaluable tool which you can then use inside other orbs. Is it just me, or is orb beginning to sound like a made-up word? Nah, I guess all words are made up. Regardless, Cocoon will be coming to Game Pass as yet another Day 1 release. Nice.
Night City is about to get a whole lot more interesting with the release of the Phantom Liberty expansion on the 26th. I mean, it was already pretty interesting, what with all the anarchist cyborg rockers and whatnot, but this new chapter adds a whole new section for players to explore, new characters for them to meet, and some very tasty new weapons for them to find a use for. Plus, loads of its newer 2.0 updates will be coming to the base game free of charge just a few days before. Let's be honest, Starfield alone would have made this one of the best months of the year, but with all the other amazing stuff on the way too, I hope September never ends. Bye!